right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to this November 21st reorganization meeting, special meeting of the Tallahassee City Commission. We're so pleased to have all of you join us, specifically and more particularly the family members of our colleagues who are taking office this evening, as well as a number of our friends who've had the benefit of serving at this dais and serving this community in their respective capacities. For those of you who are willing and able, we invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed by the invocation offered by Pastor Brad Clayton. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may remain standing. I apologize for the invocation.
Let us pray. Creating, redeeming, and loving God, we humbly give you thanks for all of our blessings, for a city that is filled with wonderful neighbors, for a community that is full of life and diversity, for a place that we are proud to call home. We ask you this day to bless Tallahassee and all of our citizens. Inspire us all to be servants. Inspire us to reach out and help our neighbor. Inspire us to bear each other's burdens. Inspire us to listen with empathy and to show hospitality to strangers, to reach for great dreams and to lean on each other in times of need. Bless these city leaders this day so that they may lead by example through their humility and service to this community. Strengthen the ties that bind this community so that we may be so woven together that we may handle challenges with courage and provide an example of goodwill for other cities across our state and across our nation. Rebuild our relationships across this nation so that we may learn to trust in each other again as we continue to put our faith and trust in you. We pray this all in the name of the God who loves us and will not let us go. Yes. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. I now would like to recognize a few of the elected officials, past and present, and folks who have served our governments. I'm going to try my very best to make sure we recognize you all. We've been trying to keep note. If anyone gets missed, please blame the city manager, Rick Fernandez. He'd be happy to take credit. And you can hold your applause to the end, if you will. Representing Leon County, we have, I believe, our incoming chairman of the Leon County Commission, Mr. John Daly. Representing other Leon County officials. Or you can plot after each one, you all's choice. The former mayor of the city of Tallahassee, I see former Mayor John Marks. Representing Leon County government, I see Mark Early, our incoming supervisor of elections. Congratulations. Also, Ms. Gwen Marshall, our incoming clerk of the court. Mr. Bob Enzer, our sitting clerk of the court. Representing the city, past and present, we have the longest serving ever city commissioner and former mayor from 1991, Debbie Lightsey. Also former commissioner, Mark Muschin. I don't see him, but he may creep in. His wife Greta, so you say?
That's her there.
And where's Greta? Greta, wave at us wherever you may be. All right, welcome to you. Also representing former administrators here at the city, former city manager 1974 to 1994, Mr. Dan Clayman. Former city manager 1997, 2015, Ms. Anita Favors Thompson. Former city attorney, 1983 to 2012, Mr. Jim English. Bob gets another shout out. Former Treasurer Clerk, 1982 to 2001, Mr. Bob Benzer. And I hope, if I, again, missed anyone, charge it to our head and not to our heart. It is now our real pleasure to, and quite frankly, our real honor to take a moment to acknowledge and memorialize a few individuals who departed this earth over this past year. We want to recognize them for their long and dedicated service to our community. Each of my colleagues will read just a bit about each of our former colleagues. In this order, they'll be recognized. Mayor Commissioner Betty Harley Berry, Mayor Commissioner Joan Hagan, Mayor Commissioner Steve Meisberg, Auditor Clerk Herb Seckel. And in that order, my colleagues, beginning with Commissioner and Mayor Pro Tem Nancy Miller, will read a very brief acknowledgement.
Mayor Commissioner Betty Harley died on December 31st, 2014 at the age of 84. Commissioner Harley was a native of Mobile, Alabama, relocating to Tallahassee in 1968, and she became one of Tallahassee's first woman builders, operating a firm, Harley Builders. She was also a licensed general contractor and a real estate agent, and co-founded 2 local newspapers. She served a 4-year term on the City Commission from March 1985 to March 1989. She served as Mayor Pro Tem for the 1986-87 term and as Mayor for the 1987-88 term, during which she proposed the Holiday Lights Festival, which we now know as the Winter Festival. Thank you, Commissioner Harley.
We also want to invite, if there are any members representing the Harley family, will you please stand where you are?
Mayor Commissioner Joan Hagan. Is anyone here representing Commissioner Hagan's family? Okay. Raised in Wisconsin, she moved to Tallahassee in the late 1960s. Before her city service, she was a teacher. In 1972, she became the first woman elected to the City Commission when she was elected to a 3-year term ending in 1975. She was mayor for the March 1973 to March 1974 term, earning her the title of the first female mayor of the city of Tallahassee. During her tenure on the commission, she helped guide the city government to a more progressive footing and voted to hire City Manager Dan Clayman in 1974 to replace Arva Hopkins. After her service, she was appointed Deputy Secretary of the Florida Department of Community Affairs. She was made full secretary the following year by Governor Graham, and she later served in positions in Broward and Leon County governments. Our former colleague, Joan Hagan, died July 10th, 2016, at the age of 85.
Are there any members of the Meisberg family here? Commissioner Lightsey, stand up. You were close enough. That's right. Steve Meisberg died June 26, 2016, at age 74. He was a folk singer, a Christian minister, and the second longest serving city commissioner in the city's history, serving 16 years on the commission from 1987 to 2003. Raised in Mississippi, he marched in 1965 with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from Selma to Montgomery. On the commission, he served 3 terms as Mayor Pro Tem and as mayor for the March 1990 to March 1991 term. While a commissioner, he helped found the Winter Festival, supported the extension of Blairstone Road, worked to curb underage drinking, and championed many social service causes. In 2013, an amphitheater was named in his honor. Commissioner Steve Meisberg.
Is anyone present that's a family member of Herbert Seckel? Okay. He was an Akron, Ohio native and a U.S. Navy veteran, having served aboard the USS Okaloosa. Upon leaving the Navy, he relocated to Tallahassee in 1948 and was hired by the city in February 1954. He was eventually named Deputy Auditor Clerk in September 1966 and was named auditor clerk in July 1974 and served in that capacity until his retirement in June 1982 after 28 years of service. He was the last person to serve as the city's auditor clerk, as the position was separated into the city auditor and the city treasurer clerk. Upon retirement, he was a licensed real estate broker. Herbert Seckel died September 4th, 2015 at age 87.
Will you all please join me in a final round of applause for each of our dedicated public servants and their family. Commissioners, will now move on to the acknowledgement of our commissioners for their time of service. Mr. Treasurer Clerk.
If Commissioners Maddox and Richardson would join me at the podium here. To serve as a Tallahassee City Commissioner, one must be an expert on everything, from zoning requirements, to utility rates, to transit routes, to animal services, to parks and recreation. One has to be an expert because those who care about such things are your friends, your family, your neighbors, your pastors, and sometimes the restaurateur who prepares your meals. Elected officials at the local level embody civic engagement of the highest order. Each of you has a long history of elected office service to your fellow citizens. Richardson has served not only here, but the Leon County School Board, including chairman of that body, member of the House of Representatives for the state of Florida. Commissioner Maddox has served this body in a prior term for an extended number of years, including service as mayor. So each of you understands better than most anyone except for those others elected here, what's involved in being a commissioner. There's a great deal of dedication to getting elected, but the dedication required once you become elected is something that I think you only appreciate once you take the office. So I want to take this opportunity to give each of you a plaque commemorating your service and thanking you for that service. I will begin with Scott Maddox. This plaque says, presented to Scott Maddox in recognition of service to the citizens of the City of Tallahassee, City Commission, November 12 to November 2016. And similarly, this plaque presented to Curtis Richardson in recognition of service to the citizens of the City of Tallahassee, City Commission, November 2014 through November 2016. Thank you both for your service.
Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Richardson.
We'll be swearing in Curtis Richardson, and I invite his family to come forward. Both come up a little bit. Okay. If you'll raise your right hand, Commissioner Richardson, put your left hand on the Bible. I know it's your family Bible that you cherish. I state your name.
Curtis Richardson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the Constitution and government of the United States,
the state of Florida,
the state of Florida,
and the city of Tallahassee,
and the city of Tallahassee,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state of Florida,
under the Constitution of the state of Florida,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of the office of City Commissioner
the duties of the office of City Commissioner
on which I'm about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
In addition to the plaque for the service Commissioner Richardson has already extended, I want to give him this certificate of election as City Treasurer Clerk, certifying that Curtis Richardson has been duly elected and sworn in to serve a term of service.
Commissioners, as Commissioner Richardson takes his seat, I believe our first order of business this evening and our only order of business will be our ceremonial vote for a new Mayor Pro Tem. And before we do that, I just want to say to Nancy, probably more often than not, you've been so willing to step in and serve in my absence, but also in your own presence and on behalf of this commission for so many community events, and we're thankful for your service. So thank you for your term as Mayor Pro Tem. And with that, Commissioners, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Richardson.
I am proud to nominate our colleague, Commissioner Gil Ziffer, for the position of Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Tallahassee.
Great.
Second.
There's a motion and a double second. I'll add mine as a third second to the election of our colleague, Commissioner Gil Ziffer, to the position of Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner Ziffer, we would add this as yet another
Yes.
Statement of our support for you as you take on your leadership as the first Vice President and eventually the President of the Florida League of Cities. We're extremely grateful for your service, not only to the City of Tallahassee, to the state of Florida on behalf of cities and also to the nation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioners, there's a motion and a second to...
Do I have to say I'll do it? Or?
No, this is, no.
I'll get a short.
This is an exercise in voluntold. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. I assume that's a yes, Commissioner?
That is
All
honored.
right.
Honored to take the role.
Unanimously, motion is approved. Congratulations, Commissioner. Commissioners, we're now at the point where we get to make a few comments about our colleagues who have been returned to us and any other reflections we might have. And I'll be brief in just saying this is for all of us, I think, the culmination of 2 years of service under this configuration as a city commission. And first, I want to extend my sincerest congratulations to both Commissioner Richardson as well as Commissioner Maddox, who both went out and presented themselves before the voters. They are in the tradition of all good democratic societies, were elected by the citizens of Tallahassee, in both cases overwhelmingly, to return to this commission and continue their work on behalf of the citizens of Tallahassee. Specifically, Commissioner Richardson, it has been a real joy to work with you, both as you have lifted to this entire commission and this community's attention the real needs of not only investments in the social infrastructure of the south side of this city, but also in the built environment by bringing this commission any number of ideas on how it is that we can be a whole and complete Tallahassee where all ships rise. Your advocacy on behalf of neighborhoods and on behalf of neighbors has been fierce. And I know that not only do the neighborhoods that you've advocated on behalf appreciate it, but I know this community certainly appreciates it. Commissioner Maddox, you have been a mentor in many ways, even before I got elected to this position. You continue to stand heads and shoulders above the rest when it comes to your type of committed and dedicated public service, particularly your advocacy on behalf of the airport and helping to lead our city into becoming an international airport, as well as our effort to land, literally, more cheap, low-cost airliners in our airport, but also the way you continuously remind this commission of our fidelity to history, to the traditions of this body, and also to the rich history of the city of Tallahassee that we all have the ability to represent. Your service to this commission is very, very well appreciated. To my other colleagues, even though we weren't up this cycle, we all pull together as best we can on behalf of moving this community forward. We've faced significant challenges just in the past 2 years that we've been here. And I think that we really met them head on. We've squared our shoulders to the task and continuously work on behalf of moving our community forward. And I think we can take a great deal of pride. But I look forward to our continued work together. And I want to welcome again back my colleagues, Commissioner Richardson and Commissioner Maddox.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said.
Well, I wanted to stand with the mayor and also offer my appreciation and thanks to both of you who are for your willingness to continue in the job. I mean, it's challenging, and as our treasurer clerk said earlier, you do have to know all about everything. It's a little bit of a, it's an interesting task, and both of you have brought a huge level of experience to the table with your past experience on the commission, your past experience for Commissioner Richardson in the legislature, and it has been greatly appreciated by me. I mean, I've just been here for 5 years, and to have folks that can say, well, this used to be this way, and this is why we actually did that in the first place, and that really is a grounding, and I think that as a team we all are most appreciative of each other and respectful of each other, and I certainly am very, very lucky to have you, and all of you, by the way, appointed, have you here with me as my colleagues, and thank you for continuing in the job.
Here, here.
Over the weekend, I was at a conference in Pittsburgh, and we were having conversations about our different commission meetings, and I realized that, and so this may go a little longer than normal, because I was in advertising so long, I've, for the most part, talking 30 seconds or less, so my comments from this point will be brief. We've been working together now for 2 years, some of us longer, and while from time to time we have had our differences, I will tell you, traveling around the state, and those of us that have done that know that there are commissions that don't work nearly as productively as we do. And each one of us brings different things to the table. And having Commissioner Maddox and Commissioner Richardson here, in addition to Commissioner Miller and you, Mayor, is such a treat, and it's such an honor. And it's something that I look forward to every time we have our meetings. So I am so glad that both of you are back. I'm looking forward to at least the next 2 years serving with you. And thank you for choosing to run, choosing to serve, and being the public officials you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You want to congratulate yourself, Commissioner? I want to yield the mic to you, obviously, for your comments.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you all for those very, very kind and heartwarming remarks. I want to start by introducing my family that's here. I'll start with my immediate family, my wife, Judge Nina Ashanafi Richardson. My daughters, Karina and Aida. One of my older brothers is here with his wife, Larry Richardson, and Geraldine, his wife, Geraldine. My sister, Beverly, and her daughter, Dawn, my niece. And then I've got some other special guests that are here. Cheryl Collier Brown, who's a longtime friend of mine, Cheryl. Alan Stux, who's a church member and one of my best friends here in Tallahassee. Rachel Favors, who was my secretary during my tenure in the Florida legislature. Alexandria Armstrong, who is my banker at SunTrust Bank. And very good friends of ours, my wife and I, Matt and Carolyn Drake. Matt was my wife's bailiff when he was with the Sheriff's Department.
Can you say that?
And then, of course, my aide, Vincent Evans.
All right, Vince.
Vincent and I actually met here in Tallahassee. He was a student at Florida A&M University. I'm sorry, Vincent.
Get it right, get it right.
And we met when I was in the legislature, but our families have known each other for years. My aunt lived next door to Vincent's great-grandmother in our hometown, so we've known each other for a long time, and he has done a phenomenal job for me over these past 2 years. It certainly has been an absolute pleasure to serve the citizens of the city of Tallahassee and to serve with my colleagues. I'm always reminded of a statement that the late Doug Jamerson made when he was appointed Commissioner of Education to replace Betty Castor when she became president of the University of South Florida. Doug would always say, you know, I knew that they were going to be handing me the torch, but I didn't know it was going to be flames first. And that's kind of how I felt becoming a member of this commission. I had no idea that it would be the work that it has been. It's been a labor of love, though, especially working with my colleagues. I knew each of them in various capacities throughout the years. Scott and I got to know each other as members of JC years ago. And Gil and I have known each other through various community service organizations. His wife and I used to model at Gaffer's, and so they've known each other for a long time.
Oh, wow. Gaffer's. That dates us. Oh, boy.
We both are married up. I tell people all the time.
Swimsuits.
Indeed.
I'm chairman of the Married Up Club. Nancy and I were on the original Blueprint Committee together that drafted Blueprint 2000 and helped to pass the penny sales tax that funded those projects. And I've known the mayor since his time at Florida A&M University as student body president and his first run for the Tallahassee City Commission as a young man. And so, I guess it was easy then from that perspective, coming to the commission and having the opportunity to serve with them. It was quite a learning curve. There were lots of issues that were unlike those that I had dealt with as a school board member or a legislator, but my colleagues were very kind and patient with me and would often give me advice when I needed it, not on the issues, not behind the scenes. But I appreciate them for that. We have got a tremendous city. I've lived in the city of Tallahassee for 40 years now, and there is no place I could imagine living other than Tallahassee. I met my wife here. We decided to grow our family here. And to be a part of this community and to give back to the community. I've almost devoted most of my adult life to public office now, as you've heard. And my brother tells me all the time, he doesn't know where I got it from because we didn't have those opportunities when we grew up in our small town, hometown of Green Cove Springs in the segregated South. My parents, I told a group of young people recently, were not allowed to vote because of Jim Crow laws. And so we didn't see people participating in that process or people who looked like us elected to public office. But when I came to Tallahassee and started school at Florida State University, there was just something about public service that I knew I had to be a part of it. And so my first campaign was for dorm president. at Florida State. I didn't win that election, but it taught me a lot of good lessons. And I went on from there to serve 2 years as a student senator at Florida State, and that really started and piqued my interest in politics and elective office. And so once I finished school, I started working on campaigns, got involved, like I said, with the mayor's campaign and some of Scott's earlier campaigns, and knew that if I was going to make a difference, it would have to be where the decisions were being made. And so as a young man, not married, no children, I decided to run for the Leon County School Board. I first took on a 16-year incumbent in Emily Millett and got waxed. So there have been some losses there. But after we went to single-member districts, I came back 2 years later and won a seat on the school board and served for 6 years in that capacity. And then later, again, would serve 8 years in the state legislature. And so I've just always believed in public service. And I certainly could not have done any of what I've done since I met my wife without her support and the support of my daughters. We've had our ups and downs, we've had our challenges, but she's always been right there supporting me. And so I want to thank her for that. I thank God for bringing her into my life and her being the blessing that she has been in my life, as well as my daughters. And so I thank the citizens of the city of Tallahassee for allowing me to continue to serve them in this capacity. And look forward to these next 4 years. There's some great things that are going to be happening in the city of Tallahassee. We're a city on the move, and I look forward to working with our city manager and his staff, the other appointed commissioners, appointed officials. My wife is trying to tell me something. What is it? Okay.
Pastor.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Well, he's going to be on the program later, but I did want to introduce our pastor, Reverend Julius McAllister. Yeah, but he is going to be on the program later as well. And Darrell Jones, who is just a phenomenal young man in his own right, and who has just become director of our MWBE program. So, Darrell, thank you for being here. But, you know, we've got some challenges, but I think, I know that this city's best days are ahead of her, and working with this dynamic group of individuals here and the citizens of this great city, we can not help but be the best city in the state of Florida, if not in this entire nation. And I'm looking forward to continuing to be a part of the leadership team that helped makes that happen. So thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Well, not to make the same mistake, I want to thank my pastor, Brad Clayton, who is brand new to town and did a great job with invocation. He's from Faith Presbyterian Church. And more importantly, Julianne Clayton came out today, his bride, and today is her birthday.
Oh.
So I wanted to congratulate Commissioner Richardson for being sworn in this evening. He and I, like you mentioned, the JCs, we go back 30 years.
Yeah.
Long time. Yeah. And to his wonderful family, congratulations. Congratulations, Commissioner Ziffer, for being named Chair of the Human Development Federal Advocacy Committee for the National League of Cities and getting a board slot for our city for the National League of Cities. That is saying something, so congratulations. To Commissioner Miller, who brightens my day every time I see her. and the only thing to miss about target issue meetings is the fact that I got to spend time with you. Thank you so much for your service. I greatly appreciate it. And to the mayor.
I brighten your day.
You brighten my day. He told me when we were taking pictures today, he made some crack about the weight that the city has on my shoulders. Because when he and I first met, we were both skinny. And he was so skinny that for his TV shoot that we did for mayor, we had to put a clothespin on the back of his suit to hold it. But this last national election and what you did for our city in the spotlight, I could not be prouder. I could not be prouder for what you've done for us. To my family, and I'm not going to recognize you, I'm going to talk about you, and my friends. To my parents, my father Charlie and mother Ricky, who've dedicated their lives to looking out for cops and soldiers. Thank you for what you've done for me. My wife Shay, who I met when I was 19, our first date was September 11th, 1987. I asked her to marry me on May 11th, 1993. We got married March 19th, 1994. Jack was born September 30th, 1995, and Denver, June 1st, 1997. I would not be the man that I am now without you. Thank you for everything. Jack and Denver, I could not be prouder as a father. I know I drive you crazy because I tell you long stories. I make you listen to history like I make my colleagues listen to history. I'm always finding a lesson in something. That's because I am so incredibly proud of the young men that you have become. And you understand loyalty and integrity and leadership. And that means something today. You say sir and you say ma'am. And you look out for those who can't look out for themselves. You're kind to others. That means everything in the world to me. And you are the legacy that will continue on long after I'm gone. Thank you for what you've done. So I look out in the audience, and my sister Stacy, who is a state employee, I got my nephews, or at least one of my nephews, back there. Jaden's there? Okay. My nieces, my cousins, my brothers from another mother, family, friends. And what I think of when I look out there, it just occurs to me, so I see teachers, firefighters, educators, state employees, people that look out for senior citizens, people that look out for immigrants, law enforcement officers, people that work toward the common good. I'm so lucky to have you as my base of support. Thank you very much for what you've done for me. My aide, Allie, where is she? Hiding in the back. Allie makes sure that the ships run on time, and there is absolutely no way that I could function on a daily basis without Allie Fleming. I'm very lucky to have gotten her to take this job and to continue in this job. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you so much for what you've done. The appointed officials, you know, my colleagues, I spoke about y'all earlier, but when I think about us as a team, our appointed officials, the commission together, I mean, we are battle-scarred and tested. We've been through it. We have been through it. And yet we keep bringing it. I'm so proud to serve with y'all. And challenges don't bother me because of the team we have. Which brings me to the 800-pound unanswered question in the room. So I'm at my own swearing in, yet I'm not being sworn in. Why is that? Has my election been challenged? No. Out of a 4-person race, I got nearly 70% of the vote, an overwhelming election. I'm not being sworn in because of one individual that likes to file complaints, all of them frivolous. The same one who's targeted each one of y'all, each one of my colleagues, the same individual that's harassed my family, my wife, and my kids. But you know what? That's okay. A good friend of mine recently asked me, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? Serving the public. You go through so much, is it worth it? My answer is yes. Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it for those that needed tax relief. It's worth it for those who want an efficient 911 system. It's worth it for our TPD officers who are under constant attack. It's worth it for our firefighters who risk their lives on a daily basis. It's worth it for Rob McGarrah and every other first responder, lineman, and person who worked through a hurricane. It's worth it for the over 11,000 pet adoptions since I've been sitting on this commission. It's worth it in the efforts to stop animal cruelty. It's worth it in the fight for those who want lower airfares and more planes to more destinations. It's worth it for Gain Street and Madison Street and Southside redevelopment and Cascades Park. It's worth it for veterans who want to ride the bus or high school students that need a ride to school. It's worth it for community school. It's worth it for senior citizens who now, when they sit for the bus, can do so out of the rain. It's worth it for kids who are waiting on the bus to do so out of the rain and in the shade. So as I sit here today, I remain resolute. I shall not surrender. I shall not cow. I won't stop fighting because I have the best family and friends that a man could ever ask for, because I work with people who wholeheartedly are committed to the betterment of our city, because I am part of a team. I work for a shining city on the hill. I work for an all-America city. I won't quit because I work for Tallahassee. Tallahassee, thank you for the opportunity.
Mr. Mayor, just before you get to the last items on the agenda, someone reminded me that we should announce that on December the 1st at 6 p.m. at the Moon is a memorial service for Steve Meisberg. We recognized him earlier when we addressed some commissioners who had passed, and we wanted to be sure that the community was reminded of that event. Apologize for the interruption, but thought Steve Meisberg would want people at a party.
Absolutely. Commissioners, thank you very much. Before I move on, Commissioner Ziffer.
If I could just take 30 seconds just to recognize a few people.
Please, yes.
I'll make this quick. My aide, Kathy Branch. Where's Kathy? Kathy is fortunately, she was very gracious enough almost 7.5 years ago to accept my offer to continue to work in the City Commission as my aide, and it's the best hire I've made my entire life. I'd also like to recognize a good friend of mine who was my campaign manager, Karen Wendland, who has brought a friend of hers, Jeremiah Williams. Jeremiah, stand up so everybody can see you. Jeremiah. This is his first City Commission meeting, and who knows, maybe someday he'll sit up here and make some of these decisions. I want to recognize Jeannie Garner, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Florida League of Cities. Jeannie, thank you for coming. I want to recognize my wife, Gail, who lets me do this, because it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of focus, and she is always there, supportive, and allowing me to do what has turned out to be the love of my second love of life. You're my first, and that's public service. It's an amazing opportunity that not everybody has, but for those of us that have the opportunity to take it, I wholeheartedly suggest anyone do it, so thank you. And the last person I want to recognize is someone that's going to be moving on shortly. He has been, in my opinion, a wonderful reporter. I think he has covered us for the most part fairly. I want to thank you, Sean Rossman, for an amazing job you've done at the Tallahassee Democrat. Thank you.
Well, not to be shown up by my colleagues here. You know, I was wondering, as our two commissioners at the end down here were making the recognitions, I was wondering, well, gosh, you know, my husband, John Buss, is here. Thank you for coming. And thank you for letting me do this. And my aide, yes, Melissa Ingram. Everybody turn around and look at Melissa. She's the... She's the one that makes sure I make all of my appointments with all of you on time. So, but thank all of you for coming. I just look out there and I see all of these folks, and if I name all of you, we'll be here all night. But I'm not going to even start. I'm not going to even start. I'd really like to call out a lot of people, but it's a great, great honor to see all of you here with us tonight, and thank you for coming.
You're here. So I would be the bad supervisor if I didn't also call out my chief of staff who's in the back of the room, Dustin Daniels, who does an amazing job for our city and on our behalf. Jamie Van Pelt, who's also in the back of the room, who, yeah, shout out to Jamie, sorry. Jamie goes a lot of places with me, and all of the adult women always ask me if he's single because they have daughters. So I guess I could make it public. Jamie, I think, is still single. So, okay, all right, exactly.
That's the deep voice.
Exactly. Angie Whitaker, who has been with me since day one, 14 years and counting, long-standing. And then we've got some other staff that don't really get much recognition, Akhenaten Thomas, who when you call the city commission chamber and you're yelling or you're saying pleasant things, he's usually on the receiving end. He's probably still upstairs right now, but I want to shout him out, and also the mayoral fellows who do a great job. So thank you to those individuals as well. And my wife, RJ, and my son Jackson and my daughter Caroline, they are not here, but I'm reminded as we close out this particular organization session of an accidental inspiration that I found when I went in one day, albeit late, to drop them off at school or at their child care center. And when I walked in, they were in the middle of an exercise that they do I learned on a daily basis, where all the kids sit in a circle and they sit down with the teachers, and the teachers check each of the kids into the classroom that day. They got a picture of the kid and a Velcro on the back of it, and they hold up the picture, and all the kids yell out the name of the child. And at this moment, they were yelling out Jackson's name because Jackson wasn't in the classroom yet. And the teacher was saying, "We don't know where Jackson is today, but we want to wish Jackson well." They took his picture and they put it in the wishing well. And they did the same exercise for my daughter. We don't know where Caroline is, but we're going to wish Caroline well. Wherever she is, let's wish them well. She take the picture and they put it into the wishing well. And the exercise struck me because it really was, I later learned, an exercise in empathy and how it is that you start to relate to other people, and along those kids' life as they grow up, they'll demonstrate greater care and empathy for their friends, for their neighbors, even for people that they don't know. And today is special for us because it's not every day that this chamber is filled with people who actually love and care about us, with little exception. But it's generally not a place that has that kind of care and affection for us. So we all get a little carried away and a little overwhelmed by that when it happens. And so I want to wish first my colleagues and their families well, because this is not easy, and we don't get to say that every day because it would be self-pity. But we're going to take license and say it today. I'm particularly struck because I'm also moved by the fact that of the 5 of us, 2 were to be sworn in and only 1 was sworn in this evening. You know, you all hear a lot, you take a lot. I tell my wife, don't read the blogs. I also tell her, please stay away from the comment section. And God knows, avoid Facebook on my political page as best you can, because there's always something that I've built a veneer that doesn't always inure to our family, and certainly not to our kids. So we wish you all well. And my colleagues, there's a difficult job we have to do, and we try our very best to do it well. Despite all of the difficulties and the things that we try to shift and to move, I'm convinced that all of us are up here for the right reasons, trying to do the right thing on behalf, standing in the gap on behalf of people who can't make those decisions at the same time for themselves. And so I wish you well. And to our manager and our appointed officials and all the staff who do incredible work, you all don't get the praise because we get to sit up here and we stand for election. But you do an amazing job on behalf of the citizens of this community, and you help to make us look good in the process of doing it. And so we wish you well. And to the community who give us the benefit, the great fortune to be able to sit up here and to make the best decisions that we can make on behalf of the best interests of this community. And we will be the first to admit that we won't always get it right, that we will make mistakes. That we may have to do some redos and maybe a couple more redos until we get it exactly right. But we want you to know that we are doing the very best we can through our governing and decision-making ability to make sure that we wish this entire community well through the work that we get to do on your behalves. And so on behalf of the Tallahassee City Commission, and you've heard these expressions already from each of us individually, we are so thankful for the blessing and the benefit to serve. And we want you to know that we don't take this opportunity, we don't take this heavy responsibility lightly. Thank you, and if there's no further business, we stand at adjournment.
Don't we have
After we hear the benediction, we will be, after the benediction, because I believe there's a word, Pastor, we'll be in adjournment. Sir, would you like us to stand?
Yes.
Please stand.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we bless and praise your name. For this day we give you honor. For this moment we praise you. And we thank you, O God, for this space and this time that you have set aside so that we could acknowledge special people in our presence. We thank you, O God, for this very special and signature moment in the life of the citizens of Tallahassee. We thank you for the swearing in of Commissioner Maddox and Commissioner Curtis Richardson. We thank you for their spouses. We thank you for their children. We thank you for their family members. We thank you for friends who have come far and near to celebrate this special moment in their lives. We thank you, O God, for our mayor and his spouse and family. We thank you for the city commissioners, our city manager, and appointed officials. We thank you for their labor of love, their committed service, and their unwavering faith in a God who can do big things. Now, God, we ask that you continue to remind them that their strength and power and resolve does not come from themselves, but it comes from God himself. Continue to clothe them with humility. Continue to give them words of inspiration and encouragement. And we ask, oh God, that you continue to give them grace that will pass all understanding. We ask that you also will give them wisdom and knowledge for the upcoming days. Now, God, we ask as we end this prayer, we ask that you continue to be with all of us. Clothe us with your grace and mercy. Order our steps in your holy word. And even during this time of Thanksgiving, we realize that every day is a day of thanksgiving. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Stand at adjournment.
All right. live in Leon County and suffered damages to your home or